The kingdom of God is not a place you stumble into by accident. It is a realm that requires understanding, a life that demands transformation, and a journey that calls for intentional pursuit. Many desire the benefits of the kingdom, but few are willing to embrace the process. It is not about religion. It is about alignment with a higher order, a government that operates by principles, laws, and a divine constitution. To enter this kingdom, the first step is a shift in thinking. The greatest barrier to accessing it is not physical, but mental. The mind must be renewed, old beliefs must be unlearned, and a new perspective must be embraced. It is not about rituals, traditions, or outward expressions. It is about a radical change from within. Until the mind is aligned with kingdom principles, true transformation cannot take place. The next step is surrender. Entry into the kingdom requires giving up personal control in exchange for divine leadership. It means yielding plans, ambitions, and personal desires to a greater purpose. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. It is trust in something greater, a willingness to let go of what is temporary to grasp what is eternal. But transformation is not enough. There must be action. The kingdom is not for the passive. It is for those who seek, pursue, and press forward with conviction. Many hear about it, talk about it, even admire it, but never enter because they refuse to move. Action is the proof of faith, and obedience is the evidence of belief. Entering the kingdom also requires perseverance. Challenges will come, distractions will arise, and obstacles will test commitment. The process is not always easy, but is always worth it. Those who endure, who remain steadfast in the pursuit, will experience the fullness of life, peace, and purpose that the kingdom offers. This is not an exclusive invitation. It is open to all. But the difference between those who enter and those who remain outside is willingness. The door is there, the way is clear, and the opportunity is now. The question is, will you take the step? The greatest limitation to entering the kingdom is not an external force, but an internal stronghold, the way we think. Every kingdom has a culture, a mindset, a way of operating. And to become part of it, a shift must take place in our thinking. The mind is the battlefield where transformation begins. If you approach the kingdom with an old mentality, you will reject its principles, resist its laws, and misunderstand its purpose. Many have been conditioned by their environment, education, and experiences to think in ways that contradict the very essence of the kingdom. They measure success by material gain, power by control, and identity by status. But in the kingdom, success is defined by purpose. Power is demonstrated through servanthood, and identity is rooted in citizenship, not position. Without a renewed mindset, one may physically attempt to enter, but spiritually remain outside, never fully experiencing the kingdom's reality. Transformation begins with unlearning the thought patterns that limit access to the kingdom. It requires an open heart and a willingness to let go of past conditioning. Renewal is not just about gathering new information. It is about replacing old belief systems with kingdom principles. The way you think determines the way you live, and the way you live determines whether you manifest the kingdom or merely observe it from a distance. Understanding the kingdom requires revelation, not just information. Many people have knowledge about spiritual matters, but lack the understanding that comes from divine revelation. Information is what you receive through study, but revelation is what is unveiled to you by the Spirit. The kingdom cannot be grasped solely by intellect. It must be revealed to the heart. This is why some of the most educated minds struggle with the concept of the kingdom, while those with simple faith embrace it fully. Revelation is what separates religion from relationship. Religion seeks to understand God through rituals, traditions, and rules, but the kingdom is revealed through intimacy with the King. It is not something you figure out. It is something that is shown to you when your heart is open. Without revelation, one may read about the kingdom, hear about the kingdom, and even teach about the kingdom, yet never enter it. This is why so many remain bound by religious systems that keep them busy but never transform them. When revelation comes, it shifts your entire perspective. It changes how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you see the world. You no longer live according to earthly limitations because you begin to understand the authority and inheritance that come with being a citizen of the kingdom. True transformation happens when you stop seeking human approval and start seeking divine revelation. Only then can you walk in the fullness of what has been prepared for you. Surrender is the doorway to the kingdom. Many people struggle with entering because they want to bring their own ways, their own opinions, and their own control. God demands to know you. But the kingdom is not a democracy where you vote on how things should be run. It is a government with one king, and his ways are final. Until a person is willing to let go of their own agenda and submit to the authority of the king, they will never truly experience the life of the kingdom. Surrender is not weakness. It is the greatest act of strength. It takes courage to let go of control, to trust in something greater than yourself. The challenge for many is that they have spent their entire lives trying to be independent, trying to prove themselves, trying to establish their own path. But in the kingdom, success is not measured by how much control you have, but by how much you trust the king. When you surrender, you exchange your limited wisdom for divine direction, your limited strength for divine power, and your temporary plans for an eternal purpose. Those who hold onto their own ways will struggle, but those who release their grip and surrender will find that the kingdom provides everything they were trying to achieve on their own. When you surrender, you don't lose. You gain access to a realm where provision, protection, and purpose are already prepared for you. Surrender is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of true life in the kingdom. Transformation is the evidence of true entry into the kingdom. It is not enough to claim allegiance with words while the mind and heart remain unchanged. When a person steps into the kingdom, everything about them begins to shift. How they think, how they speak, how they respond to life. The kingdom is not just a belief system. It is a culture, a way of life, and a new identity. Those who enter must be willing to let go of their old patterns of thinking and embrace a new mindset that aligns with the principles of the kingdom. Many people want to experience the benefits of the kingdom without undergoing the transformation that is required. They want the blessings without the renewal, the power without the process. But the kingdom does not work that way. True entry requires an internal change that manifests externally. It is impossible to remain the same once you have truly encountered the kingdom. The way you see yourself shifts because you no longer identify with the limitations of the world, but with the limitless potential of the king. Transformation is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. Every day, as you align yourself with the principles of the kingdom, you grow into the person you were always meant to be. The deeper you go, the more you realize that the kingdom is not just about what you receive, but about who you become. You are no longer just existing, you are living with divine purpose, with clarity, with a sense of belonging. Transformation is the proof that you have truly stepped into the kingdom, and it is what separates those who simply hear about it from those who fully embrace its reality. Obedience is the key that unlocks the reality of the kingdom in your life. Many desire the benefits of the kingdom, but struggle with the discipline of obedience. The kingdom is not a place of negotiation where you pick and choose what you will follow. It operates under divine authority, and those who enter must submit to its laws and principles. Obedience is not about restriction. It is about alignment. It is the bridge between revelation and manifestation. True obedience is not just about outward actions, but about the posture of the heart. It is not enough to perform religious duties while the heart remains resistant to change. The kingdom requires a surrender that goes beyond words. It demands a lifestyle. When you obey, you activate the power of the kingdom in your life. Many wonder why they do not see transformation, yet they continue to resist divine instruction. Obedience is not always convenient, but it is always necessary. In the kingdom, obedience is not driven by fear, but by love. When you understand the nature of the king, you do not follow his commands out of obligation, but out of trust. You recognize that every instruction is designed for your growth, protection, and prosperity. When you submit to the authority of the kingdom, you step into a realm where favor flows effortlessly, where doors open supernaturally, and where your life becomes a reflection of divine purpose. Obedience is not a burden. It is the pathway to freedom, to abundance, and to the fullness of life that the kingdom offers. Faith is the currency of the kingdom. Just as money is used to access goods and services in an earthly economy, faith is the means by which you access the resources of the kingdom. Without faith, you cannot engage with the reality of the kingdom, for it is not a system that operates by sight, logic, or human reasoning. The kingdom is activated by belief in what is unseen, by confidence in what has been promised, even when there is no physical evidence. Faith is not passive, it is an active trust that moves you to align your life with the principles of the kingdom. Many people struggle to experience the fullness of the kingdom because they hesitate to fully trust in its power. They want to see before they believe, but in the kingdom you believe first and then you see. It is faith that brings the unseen into reality, that turns promises into manifestations. This kind of faith is not just about believing in words. It is about being fully persuaded that the king is faithful, that his word is unshakable, and that his power is limitless. Faith is what gives you the boldness to walk in obedience even when circumstances seem unfavorable. It is what allows you to step out of the boat onto the waters, knowing that the kingdom's laws defy natural limitation. When you cultivate kingdom faith, you are no longer limited by what you see, feel, or hear. You operate in a realm where the impossible becomes possible, where mountains move, and where victory is inevitable. Transformation is the evidence of kingdom citizenship. When you truly enter the kingdom, your life cannot remain the same. The kingdom does not conform to the patterns of this world. It is a higher reality that calls for a complete renewal of the mind, a reformation of character, and a realignment of purpose. Too many people desire the benefits of the kingdom without embracing the transformation it demands. They want to hold on to old mindsets, old habits, and old systems while trying to walk in a new realm. But the kingdom requires change. It requires a shedding of the old self and the embracing of a new identity. Transformation is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process of growth and refinement. When you step into the kingdom, you begin to see differently, think differently, and live differently. Your priorities shift because you no longer measure life by the world's standards, but by kingdom principles. Your desires change because you are no longer chasing temporary success, but eternal significance. You begin to bear fruit that reflects the nature of the king: love, peace, patience, righteousness, and wisdom. This transformation is not achieved by human effort alone. It is the work of the Spirit operating within you. The more you submit to the authority of the kingdom, the more you are shaped into its image. People will begin to notice something different about you, not because of what you say, but because of who you have become. The evidence of the kingdom is not just in words, but in a life that radiates its power, authority, and glory. Authority in the kingdom is not given to those who merely claim it with their words, but to those who walk in alignment with its principles. Many desire power, dominion, and influence, but they fail to understand that true authority is not seized, it is entrusted. The kingdom operates on a principle of delegation, where authority is given to those who submit under the rule of the king. Just as an ambassador does not act on his own will, but speaks on behalf of his government, so too must citizens of the kingdom function under divine instruction. The mistake many make is trying to exercise kingdom authority while still being entangled in the ways of the world. Authority in the kingdom is only effective when it flows from obedience, submission, and a clear understanding of the laws of the king. When you live according to the kingdom's principles, you gain access to the power that governs it. That is why the greatest in the kingdom are not those who seek to dominate others, but those who humble themselves to serve. The kingdom does not recognize titles, fame, or personal ambition. It recognizes faithfulness, stewardship, and obedience. When you walk in kingdom authority, you are not intimidated by the pressures of this world. You operate from a position of confidence because you know that your authority does not come from man, but from the king himself. You speak and things shift. You declare and circumstances obey. You stand firm and the enemy trembles, not because of who you are, but because of whose power you carry. The authority of the kingdom is the key to transformation, victory, and impact. But it is only given to those who are fully aligned with the will of the king. The kingdom operates on the principle of purpose, and nothing within it exists without intentionality. Every citizen has been uniquely designed and gifted to fulfill a specific assignment, and entry into the kingdom is not merely about salvation, it is about rediscovering purpose. Too many people wander through life searching for meaning, trying to find success by the world's standards. But true fulfillment can only be found when one aligns with the reason they were created. Purpose is not something you create, it is something you discover. It is embedded within you by the king before you were even born. You were not an accident, and your existence is not random. The kingdom does not operate on guesswork, it functions with precision. When you enter the kingdom, you begin to see that everything in your life, every experience, every struggle, and every victory was leading you to the assignment you were meant to fulfill. When a person steps into their kingdom purpose, they begin to operate with a sense of confidence and authority that is not dictated by circumstances. They no longer chase after the approval of people because they understand they are accountable to a higher government. They are not swayed by the opinions of the world because they know that their validation comes from the king. Purpose gives you stability, direction, and focus. It removes confusion and replaces it with clarity. It eliminates fear and fills you with conviction. This is why discovering purpose is not optional. It is essential. Without it, life becomes a cycle of frustration and emptiness. But with it, every day is filled with meaning. The moment you enter the kingdom, you are not just given citizenship, you are given an assignment. You are not just saved, you are sent. The kingdom is not a place where people exist aimlessly. It is a system where every citizen plays a crucial role in fulfilling the will of the king on earth. Entering the kingdom is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a transformation that affects every aspect of your life. It is not just about changing your belief system. It is about adopting a completely new way of thinking, seeing, and living. In the kingdom, everything operates on the foundation of principles. And when you align yourself with those principles, you begin to experience a level of life that goes beyond what the world can offer. Transformation is not automatic. It requires intentional growth. A person cannot enter the kingdom and remain the same. The kingdom demands change. Change in how you think, how you speak, how you manage your relationships, how you handle resources, and how you pursue purpose. Those who enter must embrace a new mindset, one that is rooted in faith, obedience, and trust in the king's plan. Many people struggle because they try to bring their old ways into the kingdom. They want the benefits of the kingdom while holding on to the mindset of the world. But you cannot function in a new government while following the rules of the old one. The kingdom requires complete submission, and submission is not about losing control. It is about gaining access to a higher level of authority and power. Transformation is a process. It is not something that happens overnight, but with each step you grow deeper in understanding, stronger in faith, and more equipped to fulfill your assignment. The kingdom does not just change what you do, it changes who you are. It refines you, renews you, and restores you to your original purpose. Once you truly enter, you will never desire to go back, because you will experience a reality that is far greater than anything the world can offer. The process of entering the kingdom is not just about stepping into a new belief system. It is about embracing a new identity, a new culture, and a new way of life. It is a journey of transformation that requires a shift in thinking, a surrender of self, and a commitment to live by divine principles. Those who truly enter the kingdom do not just experience change, they become agents of change. They no longer live by the limitations of the world, but by the limitless power of the King. True entrance into the kingdom is not a one-time event, but a continuous process of growth, renewal, and alignment with divine purpose. It is about discovering who you were always meant to be and walking in the authority and inheritance that have been prepared for you. Those who understand this process do not just survive in life, they thrive. They do not just exist, they reign. The kingdom is not just a place you go to, it is a life you live. And once you enter with full understanding, there is no turning back, because you will have tasted the fullness of what life was always meant to be.